Welcome to Dollars and Cents with Friedman Financial, the home for financial advice in a language you can understand. Created by Mark Friedman of Friedman Financial, he and his team of certified financial planner professionals will discuss timely topics that help individuals and families make smart financial decisions. And now, get ready for this week's edition of Dollars and Cents with Friedman Financial.
Welcome back to another edition of Dollars and Cents with Friedman Financial. My name is Mark Friedman.
And I'm Marion Gilman.
And we're here to provide you with some financial advice in a language you can understand. Well, here we are, the middle of July. And yesterday, the past couple of days have been kind of weird around here, huh?
It really has. We've gotten some very interesting questions from clients.
Well, questions and
also a hint, or a concern. Let's put it that way.
Boy, you were already jumping right to the thing. I was going to do something kind of fun.
Oh, wow.
I was talking about the weather that's been kind of crazy around here the past couple of days.
Oh,
she's already business all the time, right?
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
We have had the weirdest look outside the windows, right?
Yeah, the Canadian, wildfires. If you've ever done a filter on your phone, you take a picture and then they have these things. The kids do it all the time. They slide through stuff to create different filters. Well, there's a filter that's called sepia.
Well, you know what? A lot of the people who might have a little more age on them might remember the photos.
Oh, that's right.
Yes.
You'd go into those photo booths where you dress up like you were in the olden days and stuff.
It would be.
And they had that like yellowish kind of tint to it.
You had that tint to the photos.
That's what it was like here.
Yes.
It was
weird.
It was weird, and it's like you were waiting for the sun to come out, but it didn't. But the sun was out there.
Yeah. You just couldn't see it.
And it was changing the tonality of the clouds on the smoke and stuff. It was really strange.
It also looked like it might rain any second at times because it would get darker and lighter because of the amount of whatever it was, pollution in the air, smoke in the air, really.
I mean, it was really interesting, and it made you think about how easily tricked you can be walking outside and seeing just something totally different, like you're like on another planet or something.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what we wanted to talk about today. Ways that we are seeing our clients get tricked.
Yeah.
And we want to prevent that from happening.
Yeah, very eerie, strange occurrences.
So we've got a few instances that have popped up. Mary, maybe you want to share the first one with the group.
Yeah, so one of the instances we had is a client sent us an email with this ad she received, or this promotional thing that she had received. And it was said on it, BlackRock. So, of course, BlackRock investments. We actually use some BlackRock investments in our portfolios. But this was showing daily returns of massive amounts of money accumulating daily. I mean, daily returns of 3 to 5% in one day.
Yeah, they were showing, you invest a certain amount of money. All you need to do is make a commitment of 1 week or 1 month or 1 year. And here's how much money you'll make every day.
Right. So $100,000 investment, and you're making $30 a day return on it.
It was crazy. And
it was
and
insane.
she had written to us saying, well, my sister's done this already.
Yeah.
And she sent this to me.
$300.
Right, yeah. And she and she says, and
I'm thinking of investing.
Well, if this is true.
Real? Is this real? That was her question.
And you look, the name BlackRock is all over it, in the same font as the company BlackRock.
Right.
And there was a picture of a financial, if you read the small term, professor. Right. It was not a financial advisor.
Right. If very frequently you'll get a promotional item. It will say financial professionals.
Right.
Right, from a company like a BlackRock, and this one said financial professor, and there were all these other hints too. Oh, so by the way, on this chart that she sent along, the more money you invested, the higher your return was each day. So again, I don't know how that works, but if you invested $100,000, your return, let's say it was 3% a day. And then if you invested $500,000, it was a 10% a day. It was insane.
So she sends this ad to us and she says, is this for real?
Yeah.
And like you just said, Marion,
I think,
she had a sense this wasn't for real. She says, my sister has already done it once.
And is thinking of adding more.
Adding more. And well, the first thing that we did was we said, well, let's take a picture of it and send it to our contacts at BlackRock.
Right.
And see what they think.
Yeah.
And within 24 hours, they had sent it to several different people, and all came back to us with the same answer, which is what we expected, that it's not real.
Of course. And
But
it has nothing to do with BlackRock.
Not one bit whatsoever.
That's
but
the important component.
they appreciated us bringing it to their attention so that their legal department can do some investigative work
Right.
to figure out if people are getting scammed.
Right.
But think about that. Here's one of the things that you need to be looking for. When something like that appears, there's a lot of different ways to begin to explore why this might not be legitimate. Now, when something appears to be too good to be true, that's probably one of the first signs.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, those type of returns, you would question that anyways. However, let's say it was a more normalized return, good return, but more normalized, and you weren't sure. So what are some of the other things?
So here's a few other things. Like we said, there was a picture of the financial advisor calling him a financial professor.
Right.
And he didn't even look like a real person. It was like an AI-generated person.
Photo, yeah.
Yeah. The next thing is BlackRock, which was the example here. It looked like the right font type, but was there any type of a registered trademark next to the name?
And no disclaimers at the
right,
bottom.
at the bottom. Usually,
always disclaimers.
anything that you get from us, or frankly from any financial institution, open up any magazine, any newspaper, any ad that you see on television or on social media. It is small print, and I would imagine that most people don't read it. But it is there. There's a disclaimer that says securities offered through ... member, FINRA, SIPC, just to give you a sense that this was, somebody looked at this stuff.
Yeah. And same thing like with a bank, they also have disclaimers, FDIC insured. So just make sure, there's something like that on there.
Right. And we're starting to see this happen now on some of the cable news networks.
Sure.
You're starting to see ads like this that pop up. Look, the cable news network, they just want to sell ads. They're not the ones that are going to look to say, is the proper disclaimer on the bottom of the ad? That's the risk that you take.
Right.
So, there's a lot of different ads that are out there. We see it quite a bit.
But what else with an email can you look at?
Oh.
You have a great hint.
Yeah. So if you're getting an email, and I can't tell you how many I'm getting, whether it's a text or an email, we're all getting them.
Right.
And they seem to be
all the scam emails.
Hey, you didn't get back to us. Your rent is due, or your electric bill is overdue. We're going to have to shut you off if you don't click here and get back to us right away. All of those things can sound very threatening. And frankly, if you're not kind of in the day-to-day operations of understanding social media and social communications, it can be jaunting to you and almost terrifying if you open up these emails, if you read the email.
Oh my God, they're going to shut off my electricity.
Right, and many people will call the phone number or click on the number and they say, hey, in order for us to get the information, we just want to verify it's you. Please provide us with your name, your address, your email address.
Right.
First of all, don't click. And how do you know not to click? Well, the first thing I tell people to do is when you get an email from something that doesn't look right, you know that when you get an email, there's the to, T-O, to you, from so-and-so. Take a look at the email address. Who is it from?
And you might need to click on that email address to actually see the full email address.
Right, because sometimes it's something you can't even recognize.
Right.
But take a look at that. And the first thing I want you to look at is what comes after the ampersand, the @ symbol.
Right.
And if let's say, for instance, it might be Bank of America, just using them purely as an example. If it says @events.Bank of America, don't open it. Because it's not from Bank of America, it's from @events with a Bank of America extension. Right. It has to come from that company. The word that comes right after the @ is the company that owns that domain. That's what they call it.
That's correct.
So so now all of a sudden you hit the from, and you look at the @ symbol, and you see the name. Just make sure they haven't transposed a letter. Make sure it's spelled exactly the way you expect it.
And if you have any questions about that, go to a website for the company, and they will show what their email address is on there.
Right.
So you can check it out.
The other thing to look at is what's at the very end of that email.
Right.
We're familiar with the term .com, right?
Right.
And we know that .edu stands for educational and not-for-profit places. Right. Now you're starting to see things like .tv and certain things.
Some of them are fine.
Those are new. But the what comes after the dot oftentimes represents the country from which it's from.
Right.
So if you see .de, do you know what that stands for?
That's Germany.
That's Germany, right.
Right.
But,
and .it is Italy.
Right, but .vm is Vietnam. And there's all sorts of things. If it seems like I'm not familiar with this and it's going back to Vietnam or going to the Philippines, you have to be a little suspect.
Absolutely.
It's not easy either.
Be careful. It really is not. I mean, the other thing that has happened to me, I don't know if you've gotten any fraud alerts from credit card companies.
Right.
And I always look at it, and rather than clicking on it, I go to my credit card and look at the back of the credit card and call that phone number. Because I just think it's every once in a while, it's a scam.
Right. Yeah.
So, just check it out.
And I'm sorry, if you're going to call a phone number and you don't feel like they speak your language, I know some people would say that's somewhat suspect. I value my privacy more than anything.
Right.
And I want to make sure that I'm talking to someone who completely understands me, that I don't hear an entire call center going on in the background. I'm talking to somebody that is actually going to listen, understand, and I'm going to understand them.
It's really important. And I know we need to be patient at times when we call Fidelity. They actually will say that. And you absolutely do. On the other hand, if you really can't understand, you need to hang up and call again.
Absolutely. All right. Yeah. Third thing. So we've talked about the first one was
so we already forgot.
So the first one was talking about the ads that can be misleading.
Oh, yes, right.
Number two is the phony email address.
Right.
Here's a third one. And this, if you live in Reading, apparently Reading, Massachusetts, this is the thing that has been the top of the police blotters lately.
Who knew?
We're going back to check washing. Have you ever heard of check washing?
Check washing, yes. And you know what? This was a big scam, like probably 20 years ago, right? The Catch Me If I Can.
Catch Me If You Can.
Catch Me If You Can.
There was a guy by the name of Frank Abagnale that...
And he wrote a book, and there was a movie, right?
Right.
Too.
And now he works for the FBI.
Right.
In fact, what was his name? The guy that played on Titanic. You know who I mean. I know. So this is what happens when you turn this age. There's something that my father always used to refer to as fallout. You can picture him, but you can't get the words out.
Right, exactly.
You know what I mean.
Very famous actor.
His name will pop into my head.
Yeah.
But anyways, here's how check washing works. And this happens for people who like to still write checks with a ballpoint pen. You stick your check to the electric company, the cable company, whatever. You stick it in your mailbox, you put up the flag. Well, basically, you're inviting someone to come and grab your mail before the mailman does and to see one of those envelopes.
What you have in there?
Because if they open up that envelope, you know what they get to see? They get to see your name and address, which they probably knew already because they picked it up from your mailbox. They get to see your account number and your routing number because it's listed right on your check, and a picture of your signature.
Right.
So imagine if you could take that check that you've just written to National Grid.
And it's for $400.
Right. And so through a process called check washing, you can cover the signature and then dip the rest of cover the signature, let's say with a piece of Scotch tape or something. Right. I don't know exactly how it's done. You drop it into some type of an acetone. It sits there. And suddenly all of the ballpoint ink lifts right off of the check. You hang it up to dry. So now what you have is a blank check after you peel off the tape with your signature on it, your account number, your routing number, your address, and all someone has to do is fill in a blank check.
So they can write that check to themselves and put in any amount that they want.
So our advice is if you're still in the business of writing checks, and I would tell you to get out of the business of writing checks as quickly as you possibly can.
Right.
Bring your envelope and your check to the post office, not the mail room in your condo association, not to some random box that's just sitting around at the apartment complex or your mailbox at the end of the street.
Right.
Because the people that are picking up that aren't necessarily the federal employee that works for the U.S. Postal Service.
Well, even now, I mean, if you go to a mailbox, it's a slit that you put the mail into. It is no longer something you can pull down
right.
and actually put your mail in.
Which I hate, by the way.
Me too, but I understand.
If
you
that's
know,
what
they used to fish out mail.
Yeah, going to the end of your driveway to put your
Not
mail
good.
out and announcing that you've got your financial information sitting out there for anybody to take is the hugest mistake that anyone can make.
Absolutely.
And I will tell you, the people that are making that mistake are the people that are over 60 or 70, because you're the only ones that are still writing checks. Go ahead and ask your grandkid or your kids what a check is.
Yeah.
And they'll go, huh?
Or how to write one. Even if they know what it is,
Right.
I'm not sure they can write
Let
one.
alone how to address an envelope and where to put the stamp.
Yeah, that's the other one.
They don't even know it.
I know.
That's what we call financial advice in a language you can understand. If now is the time for you to get serious about your financial planning, investment management advice, and want to continue to get advice about everything in your financial life.
Not just investments.
Not just, that's what we do, because here's the biggest secret. The easiest part of our job is picking investments.
Right.
Don't let the media tell you otherwise. It's the easiest part. It's getting you to stay invested. It's getting you to understand how your investments integrate with everything else in your financial life so you can make smart, informed, rational decisions.
And get you to look at the projections as to what would happen if you spent more or spent less.
And that's our financial advice in a language you can understand. If now's the time for you to get serious about your financial planning or investment management decisions, give us a call, 978-531-8108. That's 978-531-8108, or visit us on the web. That's Friedman.
Too easy to do.
Financial.com. That'll do it for us this week. Have a great week, everybody. See you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye. Enjoy.
During today's episode of Dollars and Cents with Friedman Financial, your host may have discussed specific financial planning and investment ideas that are for general information only and not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations. Please remember that investing involves risk and may include loss of principal. Always consult a certified financial planner professional, qualified attorney, or tax advisor prior to investing to determine what is appropriate for you. Securities and advisory services offered through LPL Financial, a registered investment advisor, member FINRA, SIPC.